Hello everyone, subscribe to my channel to not miss new trending manhwa.
A man named Shuji recalls his past, having no family name and being treated like trash as a child. As he grew, he fought back against his tormentors, leaving them defeated on the ground. In adulthood, his skill with the spear earned him fearsome titles like Spear Demon. He rose through the ranks, defeating every opponent to become the legendary Spear King. Despite his fame, he lived a harsh life, wearing only rags and eating meagerly. A single potato was his daily ration, but it was enough to fuel him against countless foes. He grips his spear, revealing the only place he ever felt he belonged. The battlefield was his true home, where he carved a path through his enemies. Onlookers whisper in terror, recognizing the approaching figure as the rumored Spear King. A commander desperately tries to rally his terrified men, insisting they shouldn't fear a single opponent. Believing victory is within reach, the commander leads his entire army in a full frontal assault. But Shuji effortlessly parries their coordinated attack with a single, masterful block. The commander stares in utter disbelief, his confidence instantly shattering. Using their own weapons against them, Shuji vaults into the air and swiftly eliminates the commander. The remaining soldiers panic, desperately trying to strike him down from below. Surrounded by a sea of blades, he calmly wonders if he was born for this or if he simply learned to be a monster. He realizes that in the end, the origin of his power doesn't matter. All that matters is the result. As he unleashes a devastating sweep that clears a path through his foes, his spear begins to glow with a dark, ominous energy, a testament to the countless battles it has seen. The weapon itself seems to pulse with a malevolent life force, hungry for the fight. He stands as the sole survivor, pierced by countless arrows under the light of the full moon. But the grudges of the dead finally catch up, the resentful energy coiling around his weary body. Overwhelmed by the dark power, his form begins to shatter, his life finally reaching its limit. The man once mocked as trash meets his end on the battlefield, his body dissolving into dust. Yet from the ashes of his demise, a new, smaller figure emerges, defying the finality of death. He is reborn as a baby, his powerful consciousness trapped inside a helpless infant's form. His eyes snap open with a fierce red glow, signaling the soul of the Spear King has returned to the past. He awakens with a jolt, not as a baby, but as his younger self in a quiet forest. Completely bewildered, staring at his own hands, he questions his reality, wondering if his rebirth was just a fleeting dream. A nearby mirror confirms the impossible, reflecting a much younger face he hadn't seen in years. He realizes he's returned to his teenage years, a time when he was just an errand boy for an escort bureau. His reflection is interrupted by a furious shout, and his eyes instantly harden with annoyance. The forest erupts into chaos as bandits ambush the escort group he belongs to. He calmly identifies the two warring factions, ruthless forest bandits and the Howling Tiger Escort Bureau. Resigned to his fate, he acknowledges that battle has found him again, even in this new life. He smashes the mirror with his foot, decisively breaking away from his past reflection. A large bandit confronts him, mocking the presence of a young boy on the battlefield. Shuji coolly analyzes his opponent, unimpressed by the so-called forest bandit. He sees through the man's bravado, noticing the trembling fear that marks him as an amateur. The bandit's fear twists into rage, deciding that any member of the escort bureau is a valid target. The bandit unleashes a furious downward strike, vowing to destroy his young opponent. But Shuji easily sidesteps the telegraphed attack. Finding the amateur's movements utterly predictable, he effortlessly halts the heavy weapon with a single hand, demonstrating his immense strength. Twisting the staff from the bandit's grasp, Shuji prepares a swift and decisive counterattack. The bandit stares down in shock as a fatal blow lands before he can even react. In his final moments, the man can't comprehend being defeated so easily by a mere boy. A sinister aura envelops Shuji as he confirms that even without his past strength, his martial skills remain. His eyes burn with a menacing red glow, deciding this level of power will be more than enough. He recalls the source of his strength, a martial art so potent that others labeled it demonic. With the bandit defeated behind him, Shuji accepts that he must rely on this despised power to survive. He contemplates his return to the past, but the sounds of combat quickly pull him back to reality. A second bandit rushes in for the kill, swinging his blade with murderous intent. The bandit's blade slices through empty air as Shuji leaves behind a mere afterimage. Believing he's landed a fatal blow, the bandit erupts in a fit of crazed, relieved laughter. His celebration is cut short as he stares in disbelief at the weapon now piercing his own chest. Shuji's eyes glow with disappointment, having anticipated an ambush but finding his foe utterly lacking. He coldly lectures his foe on the fatal mistake of not confirming a kill on the battlefield. With a firm grip, he drives the weapon through his opponent, ending the man's life. He casually discards the body, noting that the weapon finally feels properly weighted in his hands. A smirk crosses his face as he recalls the Howling Tiger escort bureau, finding a grim nostalgia in the chaos. A gruesome trail marks his path as he drags his defeated foes across the battlefield. The remaining bandits watch in stunned silence, their courage failing them. Fear grips them as they try to comprehend the monstrous power of this one boy. Shuji walks calmly through their ranks, carrying his previous victims like trophies. He stops and presents his handiwork, a silent and terrifying challenge to all who remain. A massive man, claiming to be the bandit leader, steps up to confront the young menace. Shuji's smirk only widens, while the leader's rage boils over at his insolence. The bandit leader unleashes a furious overhead swing, putting all his strength into the attack. With a bored expression, Shuji effortlessly evades the telegraph blow. The leader's confidence shatters as his ultimate attack hits nothing but air. The bandit leader's eye widens in pure terror, realizing he's completely outmatched. Shuji effortlessly lifts the massive man, mockingly complimenting his brute force. He then dismisses the leader's strength, declaring it utterly insufficient. With a single, fluid motion, Shuji unleashes a devastating counterstrike. He smirks through the spray of battle, demonstrating what a true attack looks like. The leader falls in one hit, and the remaining bandits recoil in horror at the monstrous display. Shuji, however, is perplexed, finding the weapon in his hand surprisingly light. The bandit leader's life drains away, a testament to Shuji's overwhelming power. A wave of fear paralyzes the onlookers, while Shuji feels a grim sense of satisfaction. Their courage finally shatters, and the bandits scatter in a desperate attempt to escape the boy they now call a monster. A sudden realization dawns on him as he connects the bloodshed to his demonic aura. A vision reveals his notorious past as the Spear Demon, a title earned on this very mountain 10 years ago. A sinister smile spreads across his face as he fully embraces the return of the Spear Demon. Under the full moon, the battle intensifies as the escort bureau tries to rally against the bandits. He stands as a calm, demonic figure amidst the escalating carnage of the battle. He observes the shifting tides of battle, coldly resolving that none of the bandits will be left alive. He suddenly springs into action, moving so quickly he becomes a mere blur to his allies. His terrifying aura draws the full attention of the bandits, who now see him as their primary target. Another bandit attempts to mask his terror with a final, desperate roar of defiance. The confrontation halts as the bandits recognize him as Ego, their former leader, and desperately plead for him to rejoin them. Shuji notes the defeated man was their leader, and mockingly agrees to let Ego join his fallen comrades. He pulls his face into a terrifying grin, promising to utterly consume their former boss. Enraged by the disrespect, Ego lunges forward with a furious, wild swing. He suddenly halts, infuriated that this boy would dare address him so informally. Shuji instantly closes the gap, striking Ego with his staff before the man can even blink. The powerful blow sends the former leader staggering backward, completely disarmed. As Ego demands to know his identity, Shuji calmly walks toward him. The bandit's defiance crumbles as he sees Shuji carrying the previous leader's body on his spear. Ego's face contorts in absolute terror, his mind unable to process the horrifying sight. Surrounded by the spirits of the dead, Shuji asks why Ego is the only one left and beckons him to join them. Overwhelmed by fear, Ego desperately demands to know the identity of this monster. Shuji's demonic aura intensifies as he extends a chilling invitation for Ego to join the dead. A terrifying demonic visage forms in the darkness as Shuji utters Ego's name for the first time. He then calls out his name a second time, his demonic aura erupting into a monstrous, winged form. On the third and final call, Shuji's attack ends, leaving only a trail of destruction in its wake. He stands silently for a moment, his expression calm and detached despite the chaos around him. He reflects on his unique technique, where calling a name 3 times sends the target to the afterlife. A wicked grin appears as he remarks on how long it's been since he unleashed this particular skill. The battle is over, and an eerie silence falls over the moonlit mountain pass. All that remains is a misty, desolate path, cleared of all bandits. A lone, battered soldier desperately claws his way up a rocky incline. He curses his misfortune, revealing he's a rookie soldier forced into a dangerous scouting mission. Exhausted, he collapses, lamenting that his life in the army is no better than his past as a slave. As he wallows in despair, a sinister presence with glowing red eyes emerges from the shadows behind him. A jolt of pure terror runs through him as he senses the malevolent entity. He turns to see the shadowy figure more clearly, questioning what kind of monster he's encountered. The soldier's blood runs cold as dark tendrils begin to snake out from the abyss. Overcome by primal fear, he tries to flee, forcing himself not to look back at the horror. A chilling voice echoes in his mind, questioning his desperate struggle for survival. The voice belongs to Shuji, who sits calmly, offering the terrified soldier a dark and twisted proposition. The soldier stops in his tracks, captivated by the promise of a new destiny. He glances back with suspicion, questioning the mysterious figure's intentions. Amused by his defiance, the demonic figure with glowing red eyes demands to know his name. After a moment of hesitation, the terrified soldier reveals his name as Shuji. Hearing the name, the entity's aura flares as it demands he repeat himself. The soldier's fear turns to frustration as he shouts his name a second time. With a final, menacing glare, the entity repeats its demand for his name. He tries to answer again, but is violently cut off as a hand clamps around his neck. With a single motion, the figure hurls him through the air, demonstrating immense strength. Completely immobilized, he's struck with terror, realizing his opponent crossed the distance in the blink of an eye. He holds the soldier over the abyss, recalling a dark lesson from his past on how to claim a life. A memory surfaces of his master, the menacing figure who granted him this terrifying demonic power. This master was none other than Kokufu, the infamous blood demon of the martial world. A flashback reveals a younger Shuji unleashing his demonic arts on a group of bandits. Amidst the carnage, he finds the experience strangely clarifying rather than corrupting. The remaining bandits, terrified, make a final, desperate charge against the monstrous youth. He reflects on the odd sensation, realizing the chaos is bringing him an unexpected sense of focus. With glowing red eyes, he stands over his defeated enemies, his mind sharper than ever before. He comes to a startling conclusion: the demonic power he received was somehow incomplete. The power meant to consume him has instead been purified, leaving him feeling invigorated and in control. He questions what exactly has changed since his past life. The demonic energy swirls around him, but he feels a sense of control rather than corruption. The power now flows through his entire being, from his core to his very fingertips. His eyes flash red as he comes to a sudden, electrifying realization. He recalls a crucial detail from his past life, learning the Mount Hua breathing technique. As a child, he realizes this technique is what allows him to maintain his sanity and consciousness amidst the demonic power. He remembers his master's warning that the demonic power would shatter his sanity before he could master it. A confident smirk plays on his lips as he imagines the look on Kokufu's face. Upon learning this truth, his train of thought is broken by a voice, drawing his attention to a lone figure in the clearing. The soldier he had previously thrown now looks back at him, completely bewildered. The soldier, now revealed as the leader of an enforcement bureau, expresses his gratitude alongside his men. His eyes narrow as he confirms his suspicion about the immense power Shuji wields. He observes Shuji's overwhelming aura, resolving that he cannot let such a valuable asset go. He questions Shuji's motives for being a mere convoy hand and formally asks him to join their ranks. Shuji bluntly refuses the offer, leaving the bureau leader utterly shocked by the rejection. With nothing more to say, Shuji turns to depart, forcing the leader into a state of panic. Determined not to lose this opportunity, the leader makes a swift, decisive move. He closes the gap in an instant, his hand reaching out to intercept Shuji. Instead of an attack, he thrusts a golden token towards a confused Shuji. He explains the token is from the prestigious Tiger Pit sect and will welcome Shuji as an honored guest. The leader humbly presents the token, begging Shuji to accept it as a sign of his sincerity. The golden plaque identifies its owner as Shueika, a first-class escort from the prestigious Tiger Pit sect. Shuji's eyes widen slightly as he processes the name of the famous sect. He recalls the Tiger Pit sect's reputation as an honorable and just organization, but he also remembers their tragic downfall, vanishing completely from the martial world years ago. With a newfound understanding, Shuji accepts the token, much to Shueika's visible relief. Shueika and his men bid a respectful farewell, promising to return after completing their transport duties. Shuji then announces he's borrowing a horse, startling the beast with his sudden approach. The bureau members frantically warn him against it, explaining the horse is far too wild to be ridden. They watch in disbelief as Shuji calmly rides off on the supposedly untamable animal, which is now perfectly obedient. A bureau member points out in shock that the wild horse was so terrified of Shuji it wet itself. Her subordinate teases her about falling for the powerful young man, but Shueika is lost in thought about his monstrous skill. The teasing earns the men a terrifying glare as Shueika's aura flares, silencing him instantly. Shueika grips her sword, explaining that her men failed to see the true nature of his skills. Recalling the swift and brutal end of the bandits, she specifies it was his spear technique that stood out. Her subordinate speculates he's from a noble spear-wielding family, but she immediately shuts down that theory. She clarifies that what they witnessed was a military spear technique, executed with a mastery far beyond his age. As the implications sink in, her subordinate looks to her for confirmation, which she provides with a single word. She confidently concludes he must be the scion of a powerful military family, undertaking a warrior's journey. Her subordinate realizes their gamble was perfect. A man of his honorable military background couldn't possibly ignore their sex crisis. Shueika silently begs him to save the Tiger Pit sect from the clutches of the Black Dao sect. Meanwhile, Shuji sternly disciplines his new horse, which is still trembling with fear. As he rides, he confirms that in this timeline, the Tiger Pit sect has not yet fallen. His thoughts then drift to a man from his past named Ko-Aiku, wondering about his fate. A flashback reveals a military camp, where he recalls meeting Ko-Aiku after enlisting in his previous life. In the memory, a younger Shuji is violently kicked by a senior soldier for trying to eat. He looks up, completely unfazed, questioning the supposed tradition of offering tribute. The bully cracks his knuckles, explaining that rookies must give their dinner to seniors or face the consequences. Suddenly, Ko-Aiku intervenes, pointing out the absurdity of the rule and defending the newcomer. As the bully's rage boils over, Shuji calmly crushes his food, issuing a silent and menacing challenge. He violently shoves the crushed potato into the bully's mouth, silencing his threats. He then tosses another piece of food, coldly instructing the senior to fill his stomach. With a flash of energy, Shuji follows up with a fierce strike, warning him about his remaining teeth. A swift punch sends the senior soldier staggering back in pain and surprise. The bully and his gang retreat, unable to face Shuji's unyielding challenge. Ko-Aiku then turns to Shuji, chiding him for his reckless interference. Shuji simply offers him the food, emphasizing that eating is essential for survival. Forging their first connection, the memory fades as Shuji recalls that this man became more than a comrade. He became his sworn brother. He remembers the man introducing himself as Koyoe, a figure of calm strength in the chaotic military camp. The memory of their first meeting fades, jumping to a later time when their desperate struggle for survival was interrupted. The memory shifts to a moment of pure agony as Shuji relives a traumatic event. In the past, his sworn brother is held hostage over a cliff by a shadowy figure. While Ko-Aiku threatens to signal for help, the captive struggles, urging his friend to flee, but his captor's grip only tightens. Faced with Ko-Aiku's desperate threat, the villain smirks and mockingly agrees to the demand. To Ko-Aiku's horror, the villain lets go, sending his friend plummeting into the abyss below. A desperate scream tears from Ko-Aiku's throat as he watches his comrade fall. The villain sadistically taunts him, asking if he's satisfied with the outcome he demanded. Blinded by rage, Ko-Aiku prepares to launch the flare, his eyes burning with vengeance. But before he can act, Shuji's hand clamps down on his, stopping the signal. Ko-Aiku whips around, his face a mask of disbelief and fury at Shuji's intervention. Their comrade desperately clings to the cliff's edge, urging his friends to escape while the villain watches from above. The villain reveals he won't kill them yet, instead making a proposal to heal his internal wounds. He offers them the power to survive in exchange for a specific herb, putting them in a difficult position. With immense pressure, the villain demands their answer, his red eyes glowing with impatience. Shuji and Ko-Aiku share a silent understanding, realizing they are trapped with no other options. With grim determination, the two young men accept the villain's dangerous offer. The villain smirks, pleased by the fire in their eyes as a dark aura emanates from him. He begins to explain the nature of unrestrained demons, corrupted souls that serve a master. The explanation is accompanied by a vision of a demonic tiger, with glowing eyes standing over its victim. He reveals his own power, the art of the unrestrained demon, absorbs the grudges of the dead to grow stronger. The villain details the 3 stages of his dark art, explaining how demonic energy can be released. He boasts of reaching the ultimate stage of transcendence, where morality no longer applies to him. He orders them to follow his path of endless slaughter, a path Shuji believes will rewrite his fate. In a flashback to a brutal battle, Ko-Aiku desperately calls out to his friend. Shuji answers the call, his focus locked on his comrade amidst the chaos. Standing back to back against a horde of foes, they steel themselves with the promise of survival. Back in the present, the villain announces the final part of their grim agreement. He tasks them with fetching a rare 100-year snow ginseng, doubting their ability to succeed. Ko-Aiku eagerly accepts the challenge, assuring their master they will not fail. But he quickly adds a condition, requesting the villain first help them unlock their meridians to stand a chance. The villain's glowing red eye narrows, silently weighing the audacious proposal. Ko-Aiku lays out a new plan: use their current herbs to unlock their power now, and replenish the supply later. The masked master falls silent, contemplating the young man's clever negotiation. To their surprise, the villain agrees to their terms, accepting the bold counteroffer. Ko-Aiku volunteers his friend to receive the power first, but Shuji immediately refuses the offer. With fierce determination, Ko-Aiku insists Shuji go first while he handles the task of gathering more herbs. He cheekily claims that going second is the harder job, trying to manipulate his friend into accepting. With a heavy sigh, Shuji reluctantly concedes to his friend's stubborn plan. In the pouring rain, the two brothers seal their pact with a firm fist bump. The memory then jumps to a grim future, showing one of them standing alone in the rain, riddled with arrows. Despite being pierced by arrows, Ko-Aiku clutches the herbs, believing he has secured their future. But his relief shatters as a flash of lightning reveals a scene of utter horror. He stares down in disbelief at the body of their master, with a shadowy figure standing over the remains. That figure is Shuji, who looks up from the carnage, finally acknowledging his brother's arrival. A sinister, blood-stained grin twists Shuji's face as he greets his horrified friend. Ko-Aiku is paralyzed by shock, his mind refusing to accept the gruesome betrayal. He stumbles back in terror, dropping the hard-won herbs as he takes in the scene. The memory shifts, showing Ko-Aiku now cradling a dying Shuji, desperately asking what transpired. Shuji calmly reveals their master's treachery, admitting he knew they were never meant to survive. He explains their master planned a fatal trap, forcing Shuji to make a desperate move to save them both. A sudden realization dawns on Shuji as he reveals the true depth of their master's betrayal. He tries to comfort his weeping friend, dismissing the act of killing their weakened master as a necessary evil. Ko-Aiku, still cradling his dying brother, asks why Shuji chose to spare him in the aftermath. The answer lies in Ko-Aiku's past as a warrior for the Tiger Enforcement Bureau, leaving him utterly confused. Shuji then makes a shocking confession. He is the last survivor of the decimated Tiger Pit sect. He recalls Ko-Aiku once speaking kindly of the Tiger Pit sect's leaders, unaware they were Shuji's parents. That simple act of kindness was what forged their unbreakable bond, as no one else had ever honored his parents' memory. With his final breaths, Shuji expresses his gratitude for their friendship, his life slowly slipping away. He grips his brother's hand tightly, entrusting him with one last, solemn duty to seek vengeance. The memory shatters, and in the present, the protagonist clutches his chest, determined to change their fate in this life. Riding through town with steely resolve, he vows to erase the very cause of their tragic grudge. His first priority is to prevent the Hu clan's destruction, hoping his past actions have already begun to alter their destiny. But knowing it's not enough, he arrives at a large gate, ready to take more drastic measures. He swiftly dismounts his horse and calls out to a random passerby to get some information. The startled man turns around as Shuji calmly states he just needs to ask a simple question. His simple request is met with instant aggression as the man grabs him, furious at being addressed so casually. Losing all patience, Shuji's eyes glow menacingly as he seizes the man's head, demanding silence. A terrifying aura surrounds him as he coldly insists the man answer his question, without any more fuss. Now kneeling in terror, the man quickly confirms that the nearby manor is indeed the Tiger Pit sect. He then confirms the names of the sect leader and his wife, the man's bruised face showing nothing but fearful compliance. Shuji confidently asked if the sect leader's son is Ko-Aiku, only for the terrified man to vehemently deny it. The revelation stunned Shuji, his entire understanding of the past suddenly thrown into question. With a battered face, the man weakly confirms that the sect leaders do not have a son named Ko-Aiku. Shuji spirals into confusion, wondering if his journey back in time has rewritten a key detail of his life. His patience wearing thin, he grabs the man again, demanding he stop speaking in riddles. A menacing aura flares around him as he threatens to find out the truth for himself, prompting the man to insist Ko-Aiku is indeed there. The protagonist is now utterly baffled, unable to make sense of the man's conflicting information. The man frantically clarifies, pointing out that Shuji specifically asked about ****. He then shouts the crucial detail: the Tiger Pit sect has no sons, only a single daughter. Shuji is left speechless as a vision of a beautiful woman appears, and he learns that Ko-Aiku is a woman. The absurd revelation shatters his reality, contrasting the beautiful image of Ko-Aiku with his own dark confusion. He struggles to process the fact that his sworn brother, the person he knew so well, was actually a woman all along. He considers using a gold token for access, but realizes such a direct approach could ruin his long-term strategy. His thoughts are interrupted as an angry man bursts out of a nearby stable, clearly looking for a fight. The man furiously berates him, enraged that he would show his face again after disappearing. He throws a punch, accusing Shuji of being a runaway who abandoned his stable duties. Knocked to the ground, Shuji realizes he's been mistaken for a homeless person, a mix-up that might just be his ticket inside. A flashback reveals the stable manager, Wu Tian, had previously hired a group of vagrants to clean the stables. Wu Tian condescendingly reminds the new hire of his duties, asking if he understood the instructions given 2 days ago. Shuji, playing dumb, gives a flat denial, further enraging the already furious stable manager. The stable manager berates Shuji for his poor memory and disrespect, reminding him of his lowly station. He continues his tirade, revealing the sect leader took Shuji in out of pity and demanding he stop trying to escape his duties. Having heard enough, Shuji calmly agrees before swiftly slamming the manager's face into a wooden trough. Just then, a ferocious horse with glowing red eyes smashes out of its stall, throwing the stable into chaos. The enraged animal sends the stable manager flying with a powerful kick, its eyes burning with fury. As the horse rampages through the stable, Shuji calmly steps aside, observing the pandemonium he likely orchestrated. The commotion attracts the attention of two onlookers, one of whom laughs, impressed by the horse's wild spirit. A scarred bodyguard reports the injury to his smug master, a noble who seems to own the powerful steed. The noble scoffs at the news, callously dismissing the injured stable hand as no better than an animal. While the other stable hands cower, Shuji recognizes the arrogant noble and silently questions his unwelcome presence. Shuji recalls from his past life that this noble was the mastermind behind the Tiger Pit sect's downfall. The arrogant noble, young Master Zhao, approaches the manor with his bodyguard, exuding an aura of pure disgust. Their rival is met by a distinguished older man, who seems surprised by their unannounced visit. The man is revealed to be Ko Jinan, the leader of the Tiger Pit sect, who questions Zhao's purpose here. Zhao greets the sect leader with a smug smile, disrespectfully calling him father-in-law. He then reveals his slimy intentions, declaring he's there to see his future bride. The sect leader flatly rejects the notion of a marriage, but Zhao insists the wedding will happen when Aiku is of age. Ko Jinan clenches his jaw, barely containing his rage at the noble's presumptuous claims. Zhao gloats that he's already spread rumors of their upcoming wedding throughout the entire region. The furious sect leader accuses Zhao of deliberately trying to tarnish his daughter's reputation. Zhao mockingly dismisses the idea of marriage, sarcastically claiming his clan is too inferior for the Tiger Pit sect. The sect leader's rage boils over, his eyes glowing with fury at the young noble's blatant disrespect. Their heated confrontation is suddenly interrupted, as all three men turn towards an unexpected arrival. A graceful figure in pink steps forward, her voice cutting through the tension to make a declaration. It's Ko Aiku herself, who calmly informs the stunned noble that any engagement is officially off the table. She stands resolute, telling Zhao to seek another bride and leave her out of his schemes. Zhao stammers, trying to threaten her with the rumors he spread, but Aiku has no time for his games. Standing with her father, she firmly rejects any connection to the Zhao clan and demands they depart immediately. As they leave, Zhao sneers at her pride, remarking that her sect is on the verge of financial collapse anyway. With a lecherous grin, he callously decides to leave, revealing this was just a casual stop before heading to a pleasure house. As they depart, Zhao's bodyguard remarks that Ko Aika's beauty far exceeds the rumors. The noble smirks, revealing her stunning looks are the very reason for his intense obsession. He claims her beauty is said to be enough to topple nations, and he wholeheartedly agrees. Zhao callously judges that for a woman of a poor sect, such beauty is not a gift, but a curse. He laughs maniacally, declaring it's too late for her now that a man like him has taken an interest. Deciding he's had enough for one day, Zhao prepares to ride off for a night of entertainment. But as he mounts his steed, he finds the animal refuses to budge an inch. The bodyguard peers closer, noticing the horse is trembling violently and foaming at the mouth. Suddenly, the horse rears up, throwing the unsuspecting noble hard onto the ground. From the shadows, Shuji watches as the humiliated Zhao furiously demands an explanation for his horse's collapse. Shuji reveals the horse's bloody organ, a result of his deadly fox claw technique. He reflects on his perfect assassination, having removed the organ without leaving an external mark. His memory confirms that the noble, Zhao Taihan, was the true cause of all his past suffering. He remembers Aiku explaining the Tiger Pit sect's fall was a power struggle with the Zhao clan, but a shadowy mastermind was manipulating events from behind the scenes, a fact Aiku tragically knew. This terrible knowledge led her to see her own stunning beauty as a devastating curse. The crushing weight of this realization fuels Shuji's simmering rage. He finally understands the heartbreaking reason Aiku chose to permanently disfigure her own face. With all hesitation gone, he smashes a wooden pillar, vowing to avenge his sworn brother without delay. Wasting no more time, Shuji leaps across the rooftops, beginning his mission of vengeance. From the shadows of the trees, Shuji declares his intention to finally take action. His mission of vengeance begins under the moonlight in Neimatsu Prefecture. He navigates the noisy streets, ignoring the commotion of the city at night. Shuji remains focused on his destination, unfazed by the domestic disputes around him. He arrives at a dilapidated building, its entrance marked with a large, foreboding X. A closer look reveals it was once a shop that sold various farming tools. Shuji stares at the familiar location, remarking on how long it's been since his last visit. Without hesitation, he steps through a hidden entrance into the building's stone interior. Inside, a blindfolded man is alerted to his presence and questions the identity of the intruder. With cold resolve, the boy simply states his name is Shuji. The blindfolded man dismisses Shuji, claiming to be retired and unknown by that name. Shuji acknowledges the man's retirement but firmly requests that he forge a hammer for him. The man scoffs at the request, but Shuji continues, listing the exact, unusual dimensions for the weapon. He then adds a precise weight limit, leaving the craftsman stunned by the strange specifications. The craftsman protests that such a weapon would be useless, but Shuji cryptically states it's not for driving nails. Now intrigued, the craftsman sets aside his drink and asks for any other requirements. Shuji then requests two crocodile leather items and another properly forged, heavy weapon. When asked for the weapon type, Shuji pauses before decisively choosing a spear. In a sudden burst of energy, the craftsman shatters a stone wall, revealing a hidden compartment. He pulls out a magnificent spear, declaring it his finest work and stating it will be ready in a day. Shuji agrees to the terms and then asks if the craftsman has any small, sharp weapons available. The craftsman confirms he does, smashing open a wooden crate with a powerful swing. Inside the crate lies a massive pile of deadly, star-shaped iron spikes. Shuji coolly inspects the iron thorns and declares he will take the entire lot. When asked about delivery, Shuji states he will personally come to collect the arsenal. The craftsman notes his client's fiery determination and warns him that the gear will not be cheap. With unwavering resolve, Shuji simply tells the man to name his price. The craftsman falls silent for a moment, his gaze fixed on the determined young man. He then reveals a shocking personal tragedy, explaining that his daughter passed away just 3 days prior. Shuji listens intently, his expression hardening as he absorbs the craftsman's grim story. In a fit of grief, the craftsman grabs Shuji, desperately asking if there's a way to revive his daughter. Shuji stands stoically, allowing the trembling, grief-stricken man to hold onto him. The craftsman releases him, noting Shuji's scent of blood before asking him to avenge his daughter's death. Shuji immediately asks for the culprit's identity, and the craftsman names the Black Dao Sect. The name visibly startles Shuji, who runs a hand through his hair in disbelief. The craftsman tries to elaborate on the members of the sect, urging Shuji to listen. But Shuji interrupts, his own killing intent erupting in a furious red aura. He declares that the enemy's name is irrelevant, as he will annihilate them all anyway. His eyes burn with an unholy light, solidifying his promise of total destruction. His murderous rage subsiding, Shuji calmly asks the craftsman for work clothes and poison. The craftsman scoffs at the request, questioning why a blacksmith would have poison. Despite his words, he quickly grabs a dark bundle and a small jar from his workshop. He tosses the items to Shuji, providing him with the requested gear without further argument. The craftsman reveals the cloak is a deadly bear hide, and the jar contains supposed Mao tribe poison, which he's never verified. Shuji uncorks the jar, and a suspicious green vapor immediately begins to seep out. After a quick inspection, he informs the craftsman that the poison is fake, a fact the old man seems to have already guessed. Shuji decides to keep the counterfeit substance anyway, believing it will still serve a purpose. He then prepares to leave, promising to return the next day to collect his custom weapons. While moving a wooden board, Shuji uncovers a pile of large animal bones, stopping him in his tracks. The craftsman casually explains the bones belong to livestock he put down. Seemingly unconcerned by Shuji's discovery, Shuji picks up a large bone, informing the craftsman he'll borrow it as a temporary weapon. Without another word, he turns and walks out, leaving the craftsman to stare in silence. The old man watches him go, muttering about how strange Shuji is and even questioning if he's a ghost. His thoughts return to his daughter, and he reaffirms his willingness to sacrifice everything for her vengeance. Overwhelmed by grief and rage, the craftsman struggles to compose himself, his resolve hardening. The scene cuts to the heavily guarded main gate of the infamous Black Dao Sect. The guards on duty stand alert, but their attention is suddenly drawn to movement in the dark. A lone figure emerges from the shadows, walking steadily towards the sect's entrance. The guards intercept the intruder, ordering him to leave and commenting on a foul odor he carries. Shuji ignores their commands and instantly incapacitates the nearest guard with a vicious swing of the bone. With glowing purple eyes, Shuji brings the bone down on the unsuspecting guard. A demonic red aura erupts around him, terrifying the remaining guards who witness the brutal display. He swings the bone again, striking another guard with enough force to shatter his skull. After testing its effectiveness, Shuji calmly judges the makeshift club to be a suitable weapon. He recalls a previous encounter with the Black Dao Sect, where their escape led to a costly counterattack. But this time is different. He now knows exactly how his enemies will try to run. With newfound resolve, he shatters the main gate, announcing his arrival with brute force. The courtyard beyond is already a grim testament to his rampage, littered with fallen sect members. He relentlessly continues his assault, cutting a path through the sect's inner defenses. Shuji stands impassively over the carnage, his cold gaze fixed on the path ahead. The commotion from his rampage finally draws the attention of the sect's inner circle. A group of elites emerges, arrogantly questioning the lone intruder responsible for the disturbance. One of the men, clearly annoyed, complains that Shuji has ruined his afternoon nap. Another elite informs him their leader is busy, promising to dispose of him quickly. Shuji calmly assesses his opponents, correctly identifying them as the four elites of the Black Dao sect. Enraged by his confidence, the first elite lunges forward to deliver a punishing blow. The man freezes in confusion, seeing only the reflection of a hooded figure in his own eye. Before he can react, Shuji sends him flying with a devastating kick to the face. Without pausing, he pivots and disables another elite by striking him directly in the eyes. The remaining two elites leap into action, launching a coordinated aerial assault on their surprisingly fast opponent. Shuji plants his foot firmly, bracing himself against the pincer attack from above. He twists his body, deflecting a powerful kick from one elite with a swift upward swing of his bone. The second elite's sword attack is met with a brutal block, the impact sending a shockwave through the air. The swordsman's arm is mangled from the parry, rendering his weapon useless. Shuji gives his bloodied club a cursory glance, unfazed by the damage he's inflicted. With two opponents neutralized, he immediately redirects his focus to the blinded man. He leaps into the air, preparing to deliver a finishing blow to the helpless elite below. The bone club connects with a sickening crunch, ending the blinded man's struggle permanently. The first elite he kicked can only watch in disbelief and rage as another comrade is taken down. Overcome with fury, the last standing elite charges forward, promising to inflict the same pain on Shuji. Unimpressed by the elite's rage, Shuji dashes forward to meet the attack head-on. He effortlessly grabs a nearby vase, preparing to use it as an improvised weapon against his foe. The vase smashes against the elite's head with tremendous force, shattering on impact. The last of the four elites crumples to the ground, completely neutralized by the blow. Shuji coldly clarifies that he's not just a thief, he's here to claim their very souls. His brutal display catches the attention of a much larger, more senior-looking sect member. The newcomer is visibly shaken, shocked by Shuji's ferocity and his unconventional bone weapon. As a demonic aura envelops Shuji, the man realizes he's not fighting a person, but a monster. Blood drips from the bone club, a grim testament to the carnage he has already wrought. Despite his fear, the senior member draws his sword, steeling himself for a confrontation. Shuji's gaze hardens, his purple eyes locking onto his terrified opponent. The senior member stammers, his mind struggling to process the monstrous power before him. Without warning, Shuji launches a brutal kick, sending the man flying across the courtyard. He lets out a slow breath, the demonic energy around him pulsing with contained power. The senior member retaliates with a desperate punch, but Shuji meets it with an explosive block. Both fighters stand their ground amidst the destruction, the senior member clearly outmatched. Enraged, the man demands to know Shuji's identity and who dared to send him. With glowing red eyes, Shuji calmly reveals he is acting on behalf of the blacksmith. The senior member freezes, utterly shocked by the mention of a seemingly insignificant craftsman. Shuji's sinister aura intensifies as he confirms he has already dismantled the sects for elites. He judges the widespread destruction as sufficient payment to settle the blacksmith's score.